6. Pretty close, but has got himself back up on the third. Still the second row that it seems to be fighting for, with the number 8 BMW of Callum's back. I thought I remembered that when you were talking about it, that was what you were saying.
Dave Shelton's about to very shortly head out down the number 8, still racing. We call him the
V8, which has got Joe Stables at the wheel.
There's an awful lot of wet Dunlops down here in the pit lane, John, as the cars are starting to explore whether there is any dry running to be had on the circuit or not, but the rain is getting heavier, so this is going to be the only dry lap in the qualifying session. It is full enough to get a full dry lap in.
I've got the boys up here from the OSS Championship, so Alan, normally the man with the mic in his hand, so Alan, what's these conditions like for the guys? It's going to be rather difficult for them. We're just saying maybe this is the best conditions, so the advantage is perhaps to get out there and whack a couple of laps in quickly if you can.
Yes, I think that's what they'll be doing. That's why I got them to release the cars a little earlier, thanks to the club, in case anybody wanted to change tyres, but they've all gone on slicks.
I think there's a couple of wets actually. Jake was saying a couple of, I think, have already changed on to wet, but we'll wait and see. But the lead car's certainly still on slicks at the moment, so it was a request from you guys to go early rather than hang about and see what the weather gives us.
Just to give them an extra 2 minutes to go in if anybody wanted to change, which is very kind of them.
So we'll wait and see what happens in the session. I don't know, Jake, up here, it's still raining. We've still got a few spots on the window coming down, but it doesn't appear to be getting any much harder as such.
No, it's the intensity of the rain is still at the same level. It's drizzle rather than full shower.
A bit of a traffic jam at Murray. We've got about 6-7 cars coming together, coming up the centre straight towards you now down in Gasoline Alley. They're sorting themselves out.
And you can hear the intensity of the noise as they come through. It's absolutely amazing watching these cars blast past the pits. You get closer here to the pit wall than you do anywhere else in British motorsport. But as you correctly predicted, John, every single car out on the circuit is on slick tyres.
So they are, that's what Alan said. Sorry, I thought you said a couple of
yes.
So they're all on slick.
Well, there are definitely teams down here who are looking to make the switch to wet tyres now. They're just keeping it handy just in case. They want to put it off as much as physically possible.
Richard Ferns has come in to change tyres.
Yeah, Richard Ferns is definitely going on to the wet tyres there in front of me, Alan. Good point there.
Alan can't hear what you're saying, Jake, so it's only me that's got a headset. Alan's just got a handheld mic up here at the moment, so if he comes in over the top of you, that's the reason why. But he the font of all knowledge,
but absolutely, yes.
Championship is concerned.
Alan Jenkins is absolutely right. Richard Ferns is making the switch onto rain tyres, and the rain has
put any times in. 1:43.05, which is not a particularly sorry, a 2:43.05, which is not a particularly quick time for these cars around here. So they've obviously been pussyfooting a little bit in those first couple of laps, and the cars now, as you say, in the heavier rain, I think almost creeping round. Let's have a little look. 2:24 of the real flying laps. That's gone the way of the number 1 car.
Darcy Smith has just been into the pits with the rain intensifying, John, and has not changed, so he is still on slick tyres. I think that's a mistake. The problem is, when the rain falls here quite quickly, it tends to collect in the racing line, so if you're going for a fast lap on dry tyres, it's going to be very, very easy to lose the car and catch it. Drivers do not want to make that mistake too early.
The time Josh Smith quickest at the moment, as we said, 2:24.218. Now what I would call raining up here. Definitely we can even see it's getting wet and 1 or 2 umbrellas going up around the circuit. So I think you're in for a bit of activity in pit lane now for the next 2 or 3 minutes.
Yep, Sherrington's in.
Cars. 13 minutes, just under 14 minutes of the session left on the clock.
Sherrington's in, several other drivers coming in behind as well. I think pretty much everybody has done the best that they can on dry tyres. They're going to have to go for wet. No major surprise actually that Josh Smith is at the top in these conditions. He doesn't have the fastest car in the grid, but in these cool and tricky conditions, it's the shorter wheelbase cars that will have a better advantage in these tricky conditions than the long wheelbase machines. And look, everybody's coming into the pits. Do you know what? Yeah. Forget it. It's not worth the risk this early in the weekend.
The number 10 car is next up in the running at the moment. Duncan Williams in the Juno. He has put in a 2:20 that the rain has caused. So it's Williams, Tilling, Dale, Baker and Chittenden. They're the only ones that have put in sort of a flying lap as such. But even Chittenden down there in his 6th lap flying lap is just a whistle under 3 minutes. It's not exactly a good time around.
Well, this is
cars coming in, although 1 or 2 still creeping by.
Yes, some are still trying to see what the grip is going to do. I suppose the advantage to finding out is that if it happens during a race, You kind of need to know what the circuit is going to do in those difficult conditions. But this is the busiest pit lane I have ever seen during an OSS qualifying session. It's absolutely crazy. We've got drivers now making the change from slick tyres to wet tyres. You don't want to be on slick tyres on a track this wet, this early in the weekend. It just isn't worth the gamble, as drivers are now starting to come out of the pits on wet tyres. They need to get track running in, even if they can't go faster.
Alan, what do you think the reason for these cars are that are staying out? Do you think they can kind of work out what grip they'd have should it happen during a race condition, or that's what Jake's predicted down there, although, as you can see, the majority of the cars in for wet tyres?
Yeah, but we did have a couple who came out fairly late for joining the practice, so they may have had to change the wets on the air.
Okay, well, we don't know, obviously, what we're getting a lot of times coming in. I can tell you it's Smith 1 and 2 at the moment, and it's swapped over as well, so that tyre changing that probably wasn't right, probably is right, Jake, because there's a phenomenal advantage at this time. We'll wait to see what sort of times the other cars are going to put in now. I think maybe the lap on the slicks were probably all exploratory laps, nothing particularly quick, so I think the wet tyres will in fact set the grid for this one.
Well, this is why it's difficult to make that decision about whether you change tyres or not during a qualifying session, Joel, because as you can see, the cars that have been in the pits have been in the pits for quite a while now, because it takes a long time to change the tyres in these cars. Just in front of me, we have the 68 car into the pits, one of the smaller cars, Robert Gilman's machine, as he now makes his way out onto the circuit, the Radical Pro Sport in class. Time to change tyres as the 98 just squeezes out from behind the cacophony of cars queuing up in the pit lane here. 35, Duncan Genby heading back out onto the Mike Genby. I've got Duncan Williams and Mike Genby in transmogrified there. But no, Mike Genby out onto the circuit, trying to see where the wet lines are going to be. It's important to do that once you've actually got wet tyres on the car to know where to go. Patrick Sherrington settling into life in the OSS quite well, I have to say, having been in one of a similar championship before. Graham Hill heads out onto the circuit, as does Prendergast. Graham Hill, one of the coolest namesakes in the British Racing and Sports Car Club. Not named after him, I should point out, just pure coincidence. But there goes Josh Smith, the reigning champion. Now, he's not the fastest driver in the grid, I should point that out. Well, he probably would be if he was in a Class A.
Second fastest in the qualifier, but that was the time he put in before making those tyre changes.
But absolutely, but Josh Smith is champion by virtue of the fact that he was the best Class B runner last year in this championship. Of course, if you win your class and score more points than a driver in the faster classes, then you will be ultimately the champion, not only of your class, but overall as well. So Josh Smith is hoping to go for back-to-back titles with the fantastic work that he and the Bridgewater College team put in. It's a university team, they bring in new mechanics every year.
In and gone back out in that Juno, put the wets on, it's given him a time of 2:29.373. So a run for him, and also the number 2 car that you were talking about, Darcy Smith. He has also now moved back up the leaderboard into 5th with his wet tyre time of 2:30.294. I think we've got somebody stopped out on the circuit up at Williams. The car, I don't think the car's gone off. It looks like it might have actually pulled down onto the service road. So there's probably going to be some yellow flags up in that section, although that may not affect the guys too much in these weather conditions through there. Still the 91 car of Brad Smith in the SR3 Radical at the top of the pile. Getting in pole by the absolute mile. I think he just managed to snip that one in somehow before the heavens open. That's another good run now as well for Martin Heath. Martin Heath, another of the SR3s, up to 3rd fastest. So one or two of the drivers putting together times, starting to get a little bit more confident now. There's a lot of changes going on. That's a good jump. That's a big jump indeed for Lee Torrey in the another of the SR3s. He's up into 2nd, so he's the quickest of the wet weather cars as such now, for want of a better word. We can see the rain falling quite hard from up here in the box now, so wet tyres is definitely the order of the day. That time of Smith is not going to be caught, is it? Brad Smith at 2:11.154, still 9.5 seconds quicker the quickest of the cars running on wet tyres. But Torrey now has gone up to that second position overall. Then the two Smiths, the 1 and 2 car. So we've got 4 Smiths in the top 4, just to make it difficult for us commentators, but never mind. We'll get there, I'm sure. That's just been changed for us because the 55 car has also now dropped in there. Mark Abbott making the trip over from Switzerland in the PR6 Radical. He has gone 3rd fastest overall. Obviously we're looking
There's a couple of issues.